people management position to keep growing in a company, but I believe this is not the reality anymore. You can keep growing in a company in your salaries and your responsibilities, being an individual contributor, no? Like as a principal, staff engineer, whatever.
Wow, what a conversation I have for you today. This week, I was joined by Efrén Álvarez, one of the directors of engineering at e-mopeds in Berlin. Now, his story is one of rapid career progression. Just like many, he started out as a software engineer, finding his feet in Android, where he eventually moved into a team lead role and now as a director of engineering. So we talked through his journey, how he got to where he is today, and how his roles have changed over time. And then we deep dive into the strategy around leading people and teams, and also managing through people as a leader of leaders. But maybe most importantly, we dig into Efrén, the person, his work life balance. He was honest about his stress levels as well as his role has changed. And we also talk about what the future holds for him as someone with an already very impressive CV. I really enjoyed this one, and I hope you do too. So, without further ado, I'm Alex Bloisey, and this is the Building Our World podcast. So, Efrén, let's get this episode started. Good morning. Good morning. Now, you are the director of engineering at e-mopeds at the moment, but I wanted to go right back to the beginning when you were a software engineer all those years ago. Was software engineering always going to be the path for you?
Yeah, so good morning, Alex. It was, I think, like when I started university, well, actually, like, even before, no, in the high school, like everything about the Spanish or English or like linguistic was not my stronger skill. So I was always more motivated about math, physics, and all these kind of things. So that's what made me get into informatics and then in computer science. And yeah, and then yeah, when I started working or in the university, I really enjoy, especially like the last years. And then I went to this business, no, that is great. It's really enjoying it.
But you, in Spain, how is the computer science set up? How advanced is it? Because I see you obviously moved abroad, and in terms of tech hubs in Europe, Spain, obviously there is a presence there, but it doesn't enter the conversation too much. Obviously Barcelona a little bit. Did you feel that to progress in your career, you had to move away from Spain? I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Good question. So for me, like I always wanted to work abroad. That was since I was a kid. That was something that I always wanted to do. When I was finishing my studies, then I was just applying. Even before I was finishing my master thesis, I was like applying to companies either in Germany or the UK, to get the experience. No, indeed, tech sector in Spain is not as big as in London or Berlin, right? But it's catching up. I mean, I'm following the news, so I've never worked in Spain so far, unfortunately. So my whole professional career have been developing
Yeah.
in Germany. But I'm following the news, no? And then Barcelona and Madrid, they are catching up.
Yeah.
So it's a nice place to live.
Yeah. In terms of, I think N26 have a Barcelona office. I think there's a couple of other big names.
Free now as
Yeah.
well. I
Yeah.
have something in Barcelona.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few big companies already there. So
Yeah. No, I see it
yeah.
because obviously part of my job is just scouring career pages, and I always see Barcelona as like as a location. Um, Now you are the traditional, I'd say, computer science backgrounds. I was actually talking with someone the other day, and I wanted to get your take on this. Boot camps, self-taught, that's a big thing now, and companies are a lot more lenient on hard requirements when it comes to a degree. Do you think a computer science degree is the best training to become a software engineer?
Um, good question. Um, I'm glad that you asked it. So it's something that I was discussing it actually with my friends, and we did like an experiment in one of my teams, like hiring a person like with a background in linguistic actually. She did a boot camp and then in coding, right? And then we hired her. We are extremely happy with her, so we renew it. I mean, she's performing really well. Um, so I still believe like a computer science degree is the best way, but it's not the only way.
Mm.
So I've been working with a lot of people that have been self-taught. I've been actually also like helping people to get into the business, like recommending, hey, do this course or read that thing, or helping them to get into the sector. So it's possible, and there's so many resources online, right? That makes it really easy to, if you have the right motivation and a good guidance, then you can get into the sector for sure. Yeah.
Mm. I always hear the best software engineers are the ones that do things in their own time, that are self-taught, reading books, YouTube
Yeah.
videos, tutorials.
Yeah, that's a yeah. I was thinking about that the other day. Like it's a never-ending learning process, right? Like and it's everything changing really fast. Or,
Mm.
1 year that you are managing people, that you are getting off from getting your hands dirty in the code, then you get outdated really, really
Yeah,
quick. Um, but yeah, is the foundation what is the most important, right? You have a good foundation, then it's easy to pick up things again. So
yeah.
you should not be scared about that.
What I found as well, software engineering now, like if you go on social media or TikTok, it's not as bad as maybe like, I mean, you get these people like selling courses online about forex trading or content creation, crypto, things like that. All this get rich quick stuff. And I have noticed that people out there are selling a software engineering dream. You know, learn, take 6 months to code and you'll get X amount salary, and then within a year you'll double it and things like that. And yeah, kind of true, definitely, obviously lucrative, but they don't. They fail to mention the hours and hours of practice and frustration that is needed to become an amazing software engineer, and that's obviously where the value is.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. No, also like I don't think it's worth it to. I'm a true believer that you need to do something that you like, and you can be software engineer, make good money, but if your life is miserable because you don't like what you do, is it paid?
mm,
So probably not. No. So you just need to find what you like. No, there is no such a thing as easy money or quick money. No,
yeah,
yeah. That's my 2 cents. Yeah.
no, absolutely. Now, I've always been told the best software engineers never do it just for the money,
Yeah.
but yeah, I feel like people are being sold a dream on social media. So you obviously after university became a software engineer. So what was your language of choice, and how did you go about choosing what you were going to potentially specialize in?
Um, well, like my first job, I didn't get to choose. um, I like something that I will advise uh, to someone who is finishing their study, doesn't matter if it's university or bootcamp or whatever. So, is to try to get advice from someone that is already in the industry for some time. No, I didn't have this option. So basically, well, I started working in SAP
Mhm.
and SAP. So we were working with, well, I don't even remember what was the the code, the language that we were using. But anyway, it was in SAP, and we were working in the field of insurance. So was not the most appealing. At the end of the day, a language is just a language, right? It's just a different syntax. So as I said, like the foundation, the basic that you learn is you will be applying it.
Mm,
Doesn't matter if you are working in Go or JavaScript or whatever. That's the important thing. So then, yeah. Anyway, long story short, I started working in with SAP with SAP. Um, yeah, it was a work. I mean, I didn't enjoy it. So after some time, I decided that I wanted to do a career change, even though I had like already like built like a 2.5 or 3 years experience on that. I wanted to change. completely to app development, that I found it more attractive to me. So then I started learning Android by myself, and then found a job
Okay.
in Berlin. So back then I was living and working in South Germany, and then I moved to Berlin and then I got into the whole Android
Okay.
ecosystem.
What was it about app development that interested you?
Um, well, after working with really like heavy backend application, and as I said, like this whole topic of the insurance, I was feeling more like doing some user-facing application, no? Like something that is more that you can feel it, no? I'm a big I really love like design and how things are being done, how user experience is can improve, usability and retention and etc. So yeah, I think that what made me choose the Android development in that case.
Yeah. One thing I found with engineers, because especially at the moment, like everything's the same between the packages now, like the benefits, remote, salaries, more or less are the same. Obviously, there are a few outliers, and the main sort of point of difference is the impact their code is making on the world. How many consumers are touching it, seeing it every day, and that seems to be a big turn on for engineers. I get questions like, how many users per month. I feel like B2C stuff is an easier sell than B2B in software engineering.
True. I've been in both sides. I've been doing B2C and I've been doing B2B or internal application, right? That is something similar. Um, and it's two different challenges, right? When you are doing B2C, when you are like a consumer application, right? You are in the spot of the company, right? Like if a small chain, so you will need to be 300% sure that whatever you are shipping to production is well test covered, that there's no bug, that everything is working smoothly. While if you are doing internal application, you can always like take more liberties and then go faster. So there's pros and cons for both things. So I think it's good for people also to try both things.
Yeah, I remember once I had a client that was like, it was B2B, but it was like process software, but like the internal tools of it. It was a hard sell. It was a really, really hard sell. Um, but yeah, but then also I find that sometimes these B2C companies from the outside look great, and then you get in them, um, and it can be a bit of chaos. But anyway, so you were an Android developer, and then you moved up into a leadership role. So one thing that we've discussed a lot on this podcast and just in general, and from what I've heard, is that, so say if I get a lead role from a client, software engineer lead, mobile lead, whatever, say, Alex, we need this person. I never in my whole career have I been able to send a senior, say, Android engineer and say, oh, they really want to move up into a lead role. They've been doing some sort of stuff in their role to show that they can do it. But in my experience, they have to already have had that title and that formal responsibility already. So the ticket to get into a lead role, from what I can see, on the whole, you need that internal promotion. You obviously got that internal promotion. So it'd be great if you could just explain how that came about, and if you could kind of think back maybe to what you did as an individual contributor to put yourself in that spot to take that opportunity when it came.
um, yeah. So in my case, it came quite natural. So I was an individual contributor in the team, um, but I was always like pushing to do more, like to bring in new ideas, how we could improve processes or things in the team, even though that was not my role, so to say, no, by by the paper. But I always wanted to do things better, right? Or
Mm.
how we can do things better, and as well as how we could create like a great atmosphere or a great culture in the team that people can raise and then can grow, no? So yeah, I guess like this. this attitude was what made that I was chosen to be the tech lead of the team back then. No? Like also like depend how the team is growing. No? Like when I joined in takeaway.com, like our team was like maybe like 6, 7 people or something, um, and we were scaling. And then as soon as the team was like 18, 20 people, then you need to have some proper like people management in place,
Yep.
no, to take care of that. But I also would like to point it out, like there's this misconception in the industry that people need to go to people management position to keep growing in a company, but that's I believe this is not the reality anymore. You can keep growing in a company in your salaries and your responsibilities, being an individual contributor, no, like as a principal, staff engineer, whatever, no.
Mm.
So not growing in a company is not always managing people. So you need to like what I mentioned before, right? So you need to like what you do. Otherwise, yeah, it's your
Mm.
life is not is if your job is not fun anymore. Yeah, it's something not right
Yeah.
then.
So yeah, I mean, obviously you went down the people management route. Many people go staff, then principal, and just stay on the tech their whole career, which is obviously very, very difficult. And I know, I mean, principal engineers at some of these tech companies are like wizards. Well, from what I've heard, anyway, and command a lot of respect and obviously a lot of money as well. But you chose the people route, and I mean, I'm in the business where I work with people all the time, and almost people are my products. You know, I'm recruiting people. People are unpredictable. They can change their minds. They can not show up. They can ignore you. Whatever. Um, how have you found that transition from just kind of managing the tech and your own coding to now managing people?
I think the something that took me some time to acknowledge is the impact that you have is a longer term, right? When you are coding, whatever you do now, at the end of the day, you just ship it, you put it in production, and you see your work, you see something tangible, right? You see how things are working or not working, right? And when you are managing a team, a department, a group of people, um, this impact is longer term. So you just need to create this foundation that people can grow, can learn, can perform, and it's not anymore. So you don't get this satisfaction at the end of the day saying, "Hey, what I did is online." Um, so it's something that you need to learn and change the chip. No, but it's also really satisfying when you see like things are working as you expected or
Mm.
as you want. So yeah,
It's like that delayed gratification, isn't it? It takes longer, it's harder, but when it comes off, boy, does it feel good.
yeah, exactly.
When it comes to interviewing as well, and obviously this is something I help companies do a lot. And one of the, I would say the pros of software engineering is that you can see their work, their code, pretty clearly, and you can see their kind of competency. But one thing, as more time goes on, I've realized the importance of soft skills in software engineering. I think there sometimes is a misconception that you just need to be good at coding, um, and you're set. But I really don't think that's the case. So when you're interviewing potential engineers for your teams, putting the coding aside, what are you looking out for in terms of soft skills? What are you assessing, and are there any red flags for you as well?
um, yeah, I mean, no, I agree. No, so soft skill is really important. So I'm always telling my team, no, like that we do not want to have this unicorn. Like sometimes, in the industry, you have like these people that are extremely good technically, like these wizards that you mentioned before. But then when you go to the people side or the soft skills, right? So it's hard to interact with them. So
Hmm.
you need to have a team aligned, that everybody is fitting into the culture, no? Then what I'm looking for is people that are positive, people that are, yeah, that they have an attitude of doing things, solving problems, and that they want to speak their mind, that they want yeah, to do more, no? Also, if they something that they don't like, that they can also speak it up, no, and say, hey, that I didn't like, or that, or and let's improve it, no? Not only complaining, but also like finding solution, no? Yeah, so this is more or less like the what I like to to see when I'm interviewing like
Mm,
engineers, not from the soft skill side. No? People
yeah,
who gave you like a positive energy. If something is
yeah.
not giving you this positive energy, yeah, it's not gonna be good at the end of the day for you, for the team. So yeah.
Do you have any turn-offs? If someone says something or does something in an interview, you're like, oh no.
Oh yeah, I remember a person we were interviewing, like she was mentioning how uh, her communication style or leadership style was command and control or something like that.
Mm,
Um, and that I mean, and that's fine, right? So there's some companies that they work like that, so it's completely fine. It's not how I envision to work. So yeah. Anyway, so these kind of things are not doesn't align with what we have built
mm,
in our company.
mm. And now you are a director of engineering. So I'm guessing that you are now managing through people. So do you have leads reporting into you, engineering managers?
Correct. Yes.
So this is even more removed in terms of the impact and time something will take for a result to come through. Now, a lot of people talk, and we talk about it a lot on this podcast, the transition from engineer to lead. Now, obviously, you are a leader of leaders. What challenges have come up for you making that next step? And would you give any advice to people making that next step?
Um, the advice will be not to rush it. Uh, look for external advice, or like there are many Slack channels. There's many people or coaching or something, no, like someone
Mm.
who can support you in this journey, right? Like, um, so that would be my advice. What was the other question? Sorry.
Just in terms of managing through people, what challenges have you found managing managers and not having that sort of direct impact? And it's obviously a slower process; it takes longer to filter down.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think the whole mentoring part is something that took me some time, but I was reading a lot, like how could I also like help my head of engineering to be better, to grow, to that they can also like how can I transfer all my learnings and my knowledge to them? How can I support them? No,
Okay.
and at the same time, how you can manage expectation from the business, right? Um, business always have like a high expectations, but you need to be able to you're the middleman there, no? Like
Mm.
handling business expectation and the reality of the teams or what is happening with them. Yeah.
Yeah. How have you found, in terms of your focus? So you talked about the head of engineering, and you're making sure that they are the best at what they can do and the best they can be. So do you almost put all your energy into that person because you know if they are at the top of their game, the people underneath them it will sort of
Yeah.
filter down. So because I'm obviously not in that position, so do you almost not kind of worry? Maybe not worry is the wrong word, but about the engineers below because that's just too much. It's too overwhelming. You need to just focus on one person or a couple of people, and then that filters down. I mean, how do you visualize your knowledge pathway? I suppose.
So there's two things here, no? So indeed, like with 60 something people, you cannot anymore like talk with everybody or like, but it's always good to keep the contact with the more junior engineer that you have in the team. It doesn't need to be weekly or bi-weekly. It could be like in the longer term, but it's always nice to keep in touch somehow,
Yeah.
right? But indeed, so you just at the end of the day, is a culture that you create that is a reflection of your values that you create in your department. What I believe that makes the whole thing a success. No, so what you want your engineering manager or your head of engineering or whatever to reflect in their team and what their tech lead they need to do the same in the team. No, so it's like a pyramid where you can, yeah, if yeah, I think this is a the main topic, no, that I would say,
Yeah,
no, the main point. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Um, so obviously, there's more people stuff, and there's more indirect and delays in that gratification and those results. Um, is it more stressful being a director of engineering now than being a software engineer? How does work-life balance compare now to back in the day, would you say, and your general stress levels?
Um, I guess that will depend from company to company. Um, what we try to do here is the teams don't get distracted with stakeholder needs, so that they can be focused doing their job,
Mm,
that they're happy. So all stress level, we try to handle it more in leadership position, and teams can focus. So then translating that into my current role, yeah, I do have way more stress than I used to have,
hmm
as a software engineer, or as an individual contributor. Um, but yeah, I think also like this whole um, pandemic and the COVID situation didn't help anybody. So
mm,
and we've seen a lot, no, like people who need some time off now, or who, yeah, want to take some sabbatical time, no, because it was a tough time
yeah.
for everybody, I believe.
Do you find now that your work's not so like time or labor intensive as maybe if you're an engineer, there's something that needs to be released or things like that, but the quality of your decisions now has to be really top notch. The quality of your interactions as well with the people below you and above you and stakeholders within the business.
Um, I think it's both things, right? So you need to be able to take the right decision. You need to have the right support from your team. Um, but it's also time-wise is, yeah, your schedule is like yeah, sometimes
Mm.
go out of control.
Yeah,
Um,
what does a typical week look like for a director of engineering at a company like Tier? If you look at you coming in on a Monday and you're looking at your calendar, check-ins, stakeholders. I mean, how does it all look?
a lot of meetings, a lot of calls. Then, yeah, I think it's mostly about you need to find a balance between stakeholder management and taking care of your team, that everything is going on track, and keep track of the metrics, that everything is going according to the plan, like the teams are hitting their SLOs, or the teams are hitting like their
Mm,
targets that you have for them, and if not, then addressing them. No? And then you always have like people related topic, like you need to hire or someone resign, and so you always have ad hoc things that are coming like every other day. No? So there's not a prototype of a week in my daily work. So every week I think is kind of different depending on the necessity. Yeah.
mm. Do you still code at all in any privately or commercially?
Uh, yeah, I know at work not. Um, Privately, yes. So when I do have the energy and the time, I like to get my hands dirty and to play around with the new things that came out. So the last thing that I learned was Go. I did like a
Mm.
small services and was playing around. So yeah, really enjoyed.
Yeah, Go seems to be like the language rising the most at the moment.
Yeah,
From
it's
from
fun.
what I can see, a lot of companies are adopting it. Um, in terms of yourself, so I wanted to just dig a bit into you, the person. Um, you've progressed a lot and quickly in your career. You're still, on the grand scheme of things, pretty early on in your career as well. And that's obviously a big point of difference. People progress at different rates, but you seem to have grown quite quickly. When you were growing up, or maybe family life or something, or during the education, did you see yourself as a career driven person who was ambitious? I mean, where has all that come from?
Oh, good question. Um, yeah, probably. Well, I don't know. yeah, I don't know exactly. I don't see myself like as a career oriented person, even though well, my career might be more or less successful, right? Um, I do value my free time. I do value my um, yeah, doing sport or traveling or these kind of things, right? That I like to do in my personal time.
Hmm.
Um, but indeed, like my I will also care about my job, no?
Yeah.
How I do my job, and I'm doing a great job. So probably that everything comes down to the education from my family, no? Like the values that they that you inherit from them, yeah, this trying to be a perfectionist in the job that you do, that you, yeah.
What did your parents do for a living?
They're both teachers, so they teach, yeah, in the high school in Spain.
So they value education.
Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah.
was really strong in the
Yeah.
family.
Yeah. My mum's a university lecturer, and education was everything growing up. Which, I mean, yeah, it was. She valued it so much. Like, did everything to get me into like the best school and the right sort of universities and things like that. What's your sport of choice?
I do play basketball since I was a kid, and now I'm trying to get into tennis. So
Oh, okay.
it's something that I always wanted to learn. So I just signed up for some tennis lessons. So yeah,
I
great
didn't
fun.
realize how big basketball is in Spain. It's like, is it like the number two sport after
I
football?
think so. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I know Real Madrid have a basketball team before that.
yeah. It's a field that Barca as well. Like they're
Do
always good.
they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they can bail out the football teams. I don't even know what's happening with Barcelona. I don't know how much you follow football, but it's like they're bankrupt, but they're still buying players.
Well, yeah. I mean, that happened in the tech sector as well, right? Where
Yeah,
you see companies that they are losing like 100 millions a year, but they are still raising money or people like
yeah,
investing on them. So it's, I
yeah.
guess, yeah, it's
Well, I
not
suppose
only in
in
football.
the tech sector as well. Like we've, I always did worry, especially in the boom times, like last year, and I think we're seeing the consequences of this now as well with the changing climate.
Yeah.
But all it took last year was a slightly charismatic founder with an idea that was really early stage, and you could just get millions from investors. It's almost like the investors were pitching to the founders. It got like that, and some of the stories from tech of like wasted money and just ridiculous opulence is just. I mean, it got totally out of control in some areas.
Yeah. It's a lot of money in the market, right? Indeed, the whole thing is changing now from growth to being profitable. So it's going to be a shift in the probably next years. Um, but it's part of the business. So
Mm,
the economy is cycling, so and it's changing now. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any sort of predictions on how things will turn out? Because obviously, at the time of recording, we're beginning of August 2022. And for the last few months, we've seen a lot of layoffs, hiring freezes. Um, how do you see the next sort of 12 months panning out for the tech sector?
Um, well, I mean, from what I'm reading, right? So seems like early stage startups, they will still raising money. Like, probably, like if you see like the latest seed investment are being like
Hmm.
crazy, like how much money they are raising without even a prototype, no? Just what you mentioned, right? Like a good founding team and then venture
Hmm.
capital are giving money. Um, but for late stage startups, things are going to get a bit more complicated probably because this shift from growth to being profitable. No, so
Yeah.
and there were companies who was growing for the last 4, 5, 6 years, having in mind this growth. So how you
Hmm.
can grow the fastest. That's why we've seen many companies like laying off some people or
Hmm.
and so yeah, but so probably, I mean, from what I'm reading, it's gonna last for at least a year, like 12, 18 months. So hopefully I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
you never know.
Yeah. I mean, as painful as it is, like the economy always needs to slow down at some point. It's part of it. I do think with tech, I think there does need to be a cultural shift. in towards profitability, and just not burning so much cash,
Yeah.
because some of the stories you hear are so, I mean, it's more in the US, like the more ridiculous stories about these companies and these founders doing crazy things. I don't know if you saw about, I think it's fast.com. They went bust. They're like a one-click checkout company in America, and they were making like 5,000 euros a day in revenue, and they were paying some of their engineers like 200, 250K. This is in America, obviously, headhunting them from like the big tech companies. And it was all just a facade, really, and they went bust in the end. But like the
Uh,
founder opened up a new office by getting in like a Ferrari and doing donuts in the car park to like unveil the new office. And it did just breed that, it gave room for those sorts of personalities. And I know we've seen, obviously, I think there was a few scandals of, I think Theranos, I can't remember her name, but like
yeah. Yeah.
fake, fake companies, and just being able to woo investors and get money. But hopefully, this kind of downturn and this shift will kind of filter all that out.
Yeah. Well, the end is if there is money and there are companies like willing to lend this money to
Mm,
uh, so, yeah. But yeah, indeed, this whole thing need to be shifted, and we are living that right now. So
yeah, absolutely. So when we come back to yourself, you're now a director of engineering at a very good tech company. I know they've grown a lot, and they're quite big now. What's next for you? You look to your next sort of 5, 10 years. What's next for yourself?
well, I guess just keep learning, keep improving. As we mentioned before, no, it's like a never-ending like learning journey. Um, in a long, uh, mid-long future, um, I would love to have my own thing, no, my own startup.
Hmm.
That's like one of the reasons why I moved to Berlin, right?
Yeah.
To learn from this, and why I joined Tier as well. No? So I joined Tier when we were like 10, 15 people to learn like how a really early startup was growing. No? And I had the luck that the Tier was really or is really successful, and we grow like really really fast. No?
Mm.
So yeah, long term, yeah, that will be like my what I would love to do. You never know where the future is gonna take you, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like shorter term, right now, um, I'm learning a lot about. I mean, as you might have seen, like we acquired an American company, Spin. So I'm yeah busy with this whole M&A process, like and learning how to migrate, integrate companies, and
That's
yeah,
hard.
that's another
Yeah.
yeah, but it's another learning, right? So you might like it or not, that's up to every person, no? But learning a lot about that front now, um, working with the North American people, also different culture, so it's always
Mm.
it's nice input, no? So and learning new things. So yeah.
Do you ever toy around? You say you want to start your own thing. Do you ever toy around with ideas? Are you someone that sort of sees opportunities and you sort of think, oh, maybe one day that could be something to pursue? Do you have anything in mind?
No, no, didn't have the either the time or the energy. So I was always interested in the health or the tech
Mm.
health sector. I think there's so much potential that we can do. Like my sister is a doctor. My father was really involved in this whole medicine work. So much potential to be unlocked. And yeah, so that's well, just ideas, right? So that's a sector I would
Mm.
love. But there are many things, right? So
Yeah.
mobility is great. Yeah, so
I think
so
in
many
I think in
opportunities.
Germany, healthcare, I think it's ripe for change from what I've heard. I think there's a few sort of popping up, and it's yeah, and obviously it's a worthwhile endeavor as well.
Yeah.
It's maybe more worthwhile than getting your shopping in 8 minutes or your pizza.
Yeah, it's, at the end, that's one of the reasons why I joined Tier as well. No, it's like that you are doing something to improve society at the end, right? Like
Mhm.
in tier with the mobility, how people move in the city in a more sustainable way.
Yeah.
In the in the health sector, you can help people to get a better treatment, more
Yeah.
personalized, or help doctors to have like a more sustainable way of living because it can be tough for them. So yeah, you are giving back something to the
Mm.
humanity, no? So yeah, that's my
Yeah.
line of thinking.
Yeah. I think we'll look back at tech maybe in 10, 20 years' time and see, what was tech for the greater good and what actually kind of worsened civilization. Um, and one thing I've seen at the moment is like, especially TikTok. I don't know if you have TikTok at all.
I've seen
Um,
it, but I don't have
yeah.
it.
No, yeah, it's a good thing. I had it for a bit, and it's just like it got to the point where I was watching something on Netflix and it just wouldn't stimulate me because I knew in my pocket I just had a constant stream of videos that were perfectly tailored to me from the algorithm is so good.
Yeah,
And then I could just have hit 5 second, 10-second hit, next one, next one, next one. And if it's pushing to you what you want to hear, like there's tons of people on there like selling courses or preaching about crypto and things like that, which is fine, but there's people investing tons of money and stuff because they've heard it from TikTok. Um, Even like mindset stuff. I think it could have real bad consequences in the long term because if you're on that couple of hours a day or a few hours a week, that changes your perception of so much stuff.
yeah.
And I think, and the algorithm is so good, like it's ridiculous. It gives you exactly what you want.
Yeah. All the end, everything goes back to the education, right? So if
Mm,
you have the right education and mindset to know, okay, they are actually selling me something. This
yeah.
whole all Instagram or TikTok is
Mm,
everything made to sell you something,
yeah.
right? But you just need to be able to distinguish, hey, this is good for me or not.
Mm,
This critical thinking, no, what you need to have, no.
mm.
But yeah,
And it's hard if you're a teenager growing up with it and that's all you know and that's your view of the world. It's so normal to you. Like for me, I'm 28, so Facebook came around when I was like at school, and it's just so normal. In Instagram as well has like changed like tons of stuff, just perception of people, the highlight reel, like shops and restaurants and bars now open up with like Instagram in mind. They make stuff Instagrammable so people go. Like it's changed so much.
yeah, indeed, that's going to be a challenge, no, for like
Mm,
new parents, like handling like this whole social media is going to be interesting. Yeah,
mm, mm. All right, Efren. So we're going to wrap up soon, but I wanted to just ask you for one more bit of wisdom. So I think more for software engineers because that's the bulk of our listener base. If I'm a software engineer now and I do have ambitions to go down that people management route into that team lead role, what can a software engineer do right now in their job to give them the best shot of getting that?
um, well, keep learning, keep reading, um, read about experiences like how people what was the job, get the if you don't have the soft skills that are required, work on them. So
Mm-hmm.
everything is not everybody's work is born with like certain skills, but you can always train them, right? So get all this training that you need, and push for it. There are people that they are expecting to be promoted because they are in the company for 5 years or 6 years, being a senior engineer. But I believe that to to you need to make this job before you are
Mm,
getting promoted. No, so go for it. Um, yeah, and enjoy the journey. No, it's
mm.
a everything is a journey, so you just need to embrace it and enjoy it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Put yourself out there, put your hand up, take on projects, have a say, ask questions. And when the opportunity comes,
Exactly, and you
they,
will be
they
there in the line. Exactly, exactly.
exactly, exactly. Well, Efren, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom and your journey and your story. I really enjoyed it. As I say, I've said this a lot, but you know it's a good episode when you don't even look at the clock. But we're running out of time, so I'll wrap up there. But thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. A real pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to the Building Our World podcast. Every view, stream, and download is massively appreciated. If you're new here, then please go back through the catalogue. There's some great gems from some of the brightest and the best in Berlin tech. And if you really like what you hear, then please do hit that follow and subscribe button. That's it for now, but until next time, goodbye.